Meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Okie doke. Nuke you guys down here. So we'll start off with opening the floor for public comment. Hearing none, we will revisit our public at the end of the meeting and give them time to think about things. I'm going to thank you for joining us tonight, Anne-Marie. We're very excited to get your update, your first official grilling by the Strategic Planning Committee. You
Thanks.
lucky thing.
I know, right?
How
lucky am I?
You guys are ruthless. So she's on notice.
That's right. Rory, do you want to share the documents, or Anne-Marie, do you want to share the documents as we're going through them, or
Rory,
how do we
since he's the host?
Host with the most.
Shall we start with the 1-year plan?
Yeah. Let's do whatever's most comfortable for you, Anne-Marie. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mute myself while you're talking, and then we can just jump in with questions as appropriate.
Yep. Sorry, I only have a trackpad. Where is it?
That's okay. I can't figure out how to get my big screen working in here.
There we go. Sweet.
Okay, do you want to go line by line?
Yes, please. If you can't hear my nodding, if there's things that you would just want to fly through, that's okay. But we do like to try to touch on every line.
So Rory, you lied, Rory. All right, just kidding. So the first one is a community center, all activities, sports, and events information to be placed. And I don't like to read to people, but we're just gonna go through that. So the calendar, for a calendar to have for the community center, the Board of Ed, and the town hall, the systems don't all work together. And right now it's not financially feasible to go out and buy a system to have them all merged together. The community center has been very active, or the community center, senior center has been very active on their Facebook page, as well as on the First Select Woman's page, and sending out activities as to what they're doing, events that they're holding, either via in person or via Zoom meetings they're having. They also have a list of their own residents, the senior centers, that they send mailers out to and email things to. The Board of Ed has their own calendar where they post all the sports activities. I would personally love to have a calendar where we can list all the football games, all the softball games, and everything that is going on in town. But at this point in time, it's not financially feasible to do that. So I would say we can't do that at this time. And I hate to say can't, because can't to me is a will not.
So okay, so from a strategic plan perspective, right, it's more of a timing based issue. So you might say you can't do it now, but you're intending on doing it in 2022. And in this way, you can identify it as an action that you still intend on doing. You're just going to give it a different date to achieve it.
Correct. And I wouldn't even say 2022, because our 2022 budget has been far to look to see.
Okay.
And plus we have
yeah, and that's fine. You just want to identify that's what your target date's going to be.
yes.
You know.
And I would like to speak to the new superintendent once we hire one, to see what his plans are and see if he has, or he or she, I should say, has any ideas of how we could mingle this together. As you know, the Board of Ed is looking for a new superintendent.
Yes.
So with that one, you have activities that you're gonna get done, and then there's gonna be ones that you're gonna kick out to different years, or no? So there, it seems like, because that's kind of, you have everything kind of listed in there, right?
Yes.
So are there things that you're gonna get done this year, but the whole thing's not gonna be done, or nothing's gonna be done? I think that's where,
There have been some things that have been completed, like the maintaining a volunteer database. Mary has her database. It's been established and she's assigning workers to that in the community center. So I would say that's done already. The competitive analysis are done for library benchmarking. That has been completed already. She's reaching out to municipalities already to see if we can get where we have small groups of, say, girls basketball. She gave that example. We're looking to see if we can go in with Oxford or Ansonia. We're looking, I'm blinded. We're looking to see if we can work with them. But however, because COVID hit us, we're 14 months into COVID, and we really haven't been able to see if these things are feasible, possible or not because of that. So these are all things that we want to do, and we're hoping that in the 2020, 2021, 2022, we can show that, look, we did it. It is possible. We're continuing doing it, and it's something we're going to be doing going.
yeah, so I
Going
think
forward.
just as a recommendation on this document, you
Yeah.
want to put the period expected completion, so you could put those dates down in that manner. So, and then you could take credit for the things that are done.
So,
Versus,
so I look at this from an audit standpoint, if you will, Bob. Maybe add a column to the side to show it's completed, or to show an expected completion date.
correct.
Because to me, here's the task. This is how it's going to be done. And the next task to me would be how we did, or the due date.
Correct.
Would you agree with that?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
sounds
the
good.
front door is open and the light is in my eyes.
We could show you the template that we've been kind of trying to use that might help. And it really is just adding another column here, I believe, so.
So the last one, develop and deliver a digital welcome package. As you know, Malia left. We have a new assistant. And it's kind of, I don't want to use it as an excuse, but we've been shorthanded in the first selectman's office for God knows how long. Between COVID and people leaving, it's like a silver tsunami in town hall right now, which is kind of good because we have new eyes coming in and fresh eyes looking at things to see how things could be done better. If that makes any sense.
So, you have that it's on hold. Do you want to stick a date on it that you're going to retarget, or, even if the date moves again, it can certainly move again, but it would be great to say, you know what, September, whatever.
I would say let's look at this towards December of 2021, because that's when I come back on. Well, the new select or whoever wins the election will come in December, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah, but is it an action you can do before then? I mean, developing.
maybe.
That's why.
I would say let's put it to October of 21.
Okay, Rory, you're taking these notes down to amend this.
It's, yeah, okay.
Cool. Okay.
Development enforcement, that is done. You have emergency services here. I was going through this plan and going through it, and are you talking about the ambulance right here? Because you have one for fire, you have one for police. So is this first one emergency services, create a 10-year heavy equipment inventory, $25,000 or plus, develop and deliver equipment replacement plan? Is that for the ambulance?
I believe that it was for each of the branches.
We have
Well, no,
fire
there's fire
service
services. Yep.
and we have police already. And if this is for ambulance, you have to take it out because the town does not own the ambulance service. One moment.
Well, this was in the strat plan, so
Right.
we need to identify what this really was trying to address. So this was, I mean, we pull up the strat plan, because I don't think, was it ambulance? I don't remember.
Well, I only say ambulance because you have fire, you have public works, and you have police in here. So I don't know who the other emergency services would be.
I thought that was for fire, but
That's what
if we already
Mhm.
have a
You
fire
have
thing
fire
here, we could
services,
do,
yeah.
then that's probably just a duplication. They're literally word for word the exact same
Yeah.
tasks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we just duplicated them when we made this 1-year plan.
Okay, great. Thank you. So, thank you. That door's not shut.
Yes, it is.
The Municast was discontinued,
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
and it's kind of hard for us to forecast during a pandemic. So maybe we can look at 22, 23. But since we don't have Unicast, we can't use it. If you want to look at a different system to see if we can do it, possibly. But I don't think when the strat plan was put together, anybody thought that we're going to be going through a pandemic.
That is correct.
Right? So I would suggest even 2021, it's kind of tough because we are 5 months into it and we're still going through. We're still, I would say we're at the end.
Mhm.
And my goal is to ensure that we have every single town building open. We're doing it safely. Our workers are safe and our residents are safe. But starting to let people know that Seymour is open for business and start building revenue in our community centers, in the police academy, with bringing back the Citizens Academy, as well as bringing back the youth academy, and start letting everybody know it's open. So if we could just maybe on the finance department, push that out to 22, 23 to see if that's something that's even really feasible, because it's
Well-
really tough to forecast that.
What benefits are we gonna get or lose by doing it or not doing it? Because you could take it out as an action. Is it
I would-
something that we need to do, or?
I don't understand what forecasting, I can understand forecasting from a WPCA, right? From a WPCA standpoint. What do we look like? You know, how many, we have 9 new houses coming in. Are they going to be coming in on the sewer system? Are they going to be adding to it? You know, is it going to be growing? Do we have a new housing unit coming in? I can see forecasting for public works, for new roads going in. I can see forecasting for the WPCA, but forecasting, or even our community center, you know, building in revenue, but forecasting as far as.
Well, I
anything-
think the intent was to help make the budgeting process more
Efficient.
data-driven. Yeah, efficient and data-driven, rather than just sort of a free-for-all where everybody coming in and saying, I need money. So
Yeah.
I think that was the original intent, you know, with bringing in Unicast, being able to visibly show, to have a, you know, a physical, visual representation of forecasting, to be doing it, like I said, just to standardize and formalize it a bit, as opposed to just kind of throwing stuff at the wall.
Yeah, well, we don't have that system, so I would say take it out.
Right.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, we put it in the 1-year plan and no one seems to think that it's that important to do it this year. So I don't think it should be in.
Hmm.
In our fire services, I know, Rory, if you want to jump in, I believe they gave you an inventory.
Correct. They, you know, our issue with the fire service is that there doesn't seem to be consensus within the fire service, because we I didn't get one inventory. I should rephrase that. There's one inventory of existing materials, but part of the inventory is planning for replacement, and there's no consensus, or doesn't seem to be, as to what the replacement plans are. It depends who you ask. So I had put together a template that was sent out, and it talks about forecast, trying to talk about life cycle and estimated replacement costs, but because there's no consensus as to what the equipment replacement plan is, that's proved a little difficult, but we do have their existing stock.
So do we need to add an action to do within a year to, and I don't know how to word it, but to gain a consensus between what's required?
Consolidate.
Yeah, so that that becomes the action versus us getting different, inventories. I don't know.
I mean, what's the realistic expectation that that's possible? I mean, I don't pretend to know about the intricacies of the politics of the different firehouses, but I'd imagine that they are sort of independent fiefdoms in and amongst themselves in a way.
And you're right, Kathy, they are. We have 4 chiefs. And I would believe instead of handing this off to the commissioners, I would believe we would either hand this off to the fire chief, our chief, Mike Lombardi, and then have him delegate it to one of the other 3 chiefs and then say, we need to have this by no later than October of 2021. That
Right.
gives you all of June, July, August, September, and half of October to get it done.
Yeah, and it's a look at the town versus the individual departments.
Mhm.
Because as a chief, you're representing Seymour Fire Department. You're not representing Great Hill. You're not representing citizens. And we have the engineers, and the chiefs technically can go to the engineers and say, I need a list of every apparatus we have here and the status on it.
Mhm.
And you have the value of 25,000. So is that 25,000? Why would we not go over 5,000? Why would we just set the limit at
Well, there's
25,000?
heavy equipment and light. So the heavy was specific to the things that are over 25, and then everything else falls underneath.
So you would say a fire truck and everything
that's-
would be in the heavy, and the light would probably be the SCBA containers, boats, trailers, and stuff like that.
That's the way I see it. But
Yes,
I would
exactly.
make that a little bit more specific. I don't know if I would put greater than 25,000. I may and again, this is just my suggestion. I'm sorry, I know you guys worked very hard on that, but looking through this, I would give an example, because remember, you guys are awesome at this board. There's no other board like this board. Understand that. These guys are volunteers just like you, but they're not putting the time and the effort in it because their main thing is, okay, well, this is 25, this is 25. I would say it's 25. Let's do fire apparatus.
Mhm. Okay.
And then, equipment.
Is that going to be clear enough, Anne-Marie? Because what we're trying to do is to really, because things like fire trucks, we don't want to get to a place where we need 6 fire trucks all in the same year. So what we're working toward
we are, just let you know, we are in that point right now, because whenever
because there's no planning.
the O'Toole and Barton area, the O'Toole and Barton timeframe, we
Mhm.
went out and bought all those trucks, all those fire trucks. Now it's time for those fire trucks. Their life expectancy of those fire trucks have come to an end. So technically they can say, well, they can no longer work, or they're no longer safe. We're already just replacing a tanker so we can keep the frame, but the tanker has to go because a tanker only has a life expectancy of so long. So we don't want to get into the whole, we have to buy 8 fire trucks at one time. And
But Anne-Marie, isn't that based on usage too, not just age? It's
Yes and no. It all depends on when it was made, and the DOT, the Federal Motor Carrier Laws come out different. The DOT has a different set of regulations, as does OSHA, and they have to follow those guidelines as well, especially when it comes to tankers. You know,
So
the
this,
testing that has to be
and this is exactly though the information we're trying to get to, I think, with this item, is that inventory. And it that says, you know, our tanker truck needs to be replaced, you know, now, and our ladder truck needs to be replaced in a year. You know, that's what we're trying to get to with the inventory.
and that's great. And I think when I sit down with the chiefs, that is exactly, we have to explain it. Here's how old this truck is. This is the life expectancy of it. This is how many hours are on the engine or whatever, or this truck we can continue to use, but we have to upgrade the pumps, you know, the pumps. on it.
Whatever's, yeah. Mhm.
Right. So even if we don't have to replace a truck, if we can get away with saving, you know, $100,000 and just replacing it with a $25,000 thing, I'd much rather do that. And I think
Right.
as a whole, as residents, that's what we rather do.
And that's,
and in all honesty, on a strat plan, it could have been just all fire services inventory, no matter what it is. And then it's allocated by, I mean, we could filter out and pivot table what's high or low, right? But I think, because you could have just one item there. We just need a 10-year all equipment inventory that you're going to need over the 10 years. And then it's a responsibility of whoever's the owner to pivot table that out. What's heavier, what's lighter, you know, what's more money, what's less money.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
'cause
have
that's,
them prioritize as to what is the most important thing that we have to replace right now, because that's what they do, right? That's their specialty.
right. And that's the second part of that deliverable, is the, you know, the develop and deliver an equipment replacement plan. That's what we're looking for, is the, and then so we can get into sort of an organized replacement cycle rather than waiting till everything's on its very last leg. And now we're scrambling. What we're trying to get to is that pace and sequence where things are flowing in and out of, you know, inventory on a predictable, you know, schedule. That's what we're going for.
As we talk through this,
Exactly.
I think it should be 2 actions. I think it should be create a equipment inventory, period. Forget the dollar amount. And then the next action is develop and deliver equipment replacement plan. So there's 2 very definitive actions. And this way you can create the inventory plan, get all the inventory together, you know, say I'm going to do that by next month and complete that. And then you have something you're going to complete. And then you're going to say, I want a equipment replacement plan in, you know, Q4, you know, 4th quarter or whatever. And then this way you can actually get a win out of that. And you can see the action completion, and you got 2 items that come out of that. So that's my recommendation.
Yeah, that's a good call.
I feel like we're getting into like very low level detail here, probably lower than the purpose of this meeting.
Yeah, it's
Sorry,
it's
Stefan.
flowing into that, Stefan. I think you're probably right, but it just feels like maybe it's the right time to make that correction. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I agree. I just don't want us to get caught in the weeds and be here for 4 hours.
Understood.
I would agree with Bob in that it should be 2 separate items, right? But the equipment inventory, it's not a 10-year inventory. Our inventory is what we have on hand right now.
Correct.
Replacement
Yes.
plan would be expected replacements over the next 10 years, I think is what we're trying to say. Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
if they're out more than 10 years, then we don't really, that's not on our immediate horizon, but right, we want to see the replacement plan developed for 10 years out for our current inventory.
Agreed.
Perfect. Yep.
So I'll send something out to Mike and I'll just copy your board on it. How's that?
Okay. Perfect.
Mike Lombardi being the fire chief.
You know, and I mean, it says say replacement, but you know, is there going to be other new equipment that we don't have in our current inventory that we've got to be looking at? You know, I don't know.
You're muted, Anne Marie.
Because I was yelling at the dog.
Oh, not my square dog, I hope.
Yes,
The
square
the
dog.
COVID cleaning equipment that we don't have right now, and do we need to purchase something for that, or something that we don't own, but we need to purchase? And how
Or
many-
something that comes out of regulation or whatever it's gonna be.
All right. We'll have that. So as far as the first selectman in conjunction with professional staff, each board and committee, that is something as you guys know, I have attended at least 95 to 97% of every town committee meeting that we have had. And I have found that some of our boards do not understand their charge or their mission of the board. So I have spoken to a couple of our attorneys who give off training, free training, as well as researched a couple of things to when we bring in new board members or the current board that we have is to remind them of what their charge are. What is your goal? Your goal is not here to sit here and nitpick every single thing a resident is doing or do this. Your goal is to do X, Y, Z. And make sure when they come on, they understand when the meetings are, they understand what time they are, they understand that they have to be there, or I understand that they're volunteers, but if you miss 2 meetings or 3 meetings or 4 meetings, 6 meetings, you have to get off the board because that means you just missed a whole year of meetings almost on some boards. But give them the training and the knowledge they need. I mean, I feel bad because I asked Stefan and I asked Bob to be on the WPCA board, and it was kind of like, what do we do on this board? And it's sort of a learning experience. So I think in going forward, whoever, that is what we should do for all boards, and as well as new members, new employees coming on, make sure they understand what their mission of their job is and what they're in charge of. Bob, you're muted. Jesus Christ.
Sorry, that action should just be create an orientation program. I mean, that's the action.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah, that one might be a little too verbose.
It's as simple as you got to create an orientation program for duties and responsibilities of the town. So something that simple.
Okay.
Sometimes keeping it simple is easier than too much.
Well, and then, but the action then is once the orientation program's done, you check it off and say it's done by, 6 months from now, whatever date you want to put on it, and it's done.
Mhm.
It might be useful to list out each entity that needs to create an orientation program, so groups don't sort of slide under the radar by being buried in I didn't know I needed to do one.
Yeah. And make it part of a welcoming package.
Mhm.
Okay.
And it doesn't need to be War and Peace. I mean, it can be
Right, exactly. Simple.
simple. Yep.
Like a
Here's who we are.
shady tree orientation program. I want to see Rory smile.
From her doctor.
If you're talking to us, Anne Marie, we can't hear you.
I know. I had the mute. Number 1, the opportunity is always emailed when relevant. We always have trainings coming in for the finance department. Some stuff comes in on grants. We forward that to other departments. Any DEP classes come in, we forward it to the land. So we're constantly telling people to learn. There's always things and people want to do that. So that's already being done.
And I think this, we have to we understand that the last year was wonky and these things didn't happen. And, so we're starting to, hopefully begin to look forward to these things happening again.
That one's a miss as an action plan because what you guys are doing is more manual and could stop on a dime. Is there any process changes that you're going to make so that it's more visible to everyone? Is there a place where within town hall where it's posted something or SharePoint site, whatever that, I don't know what the right answer is there, but it just seems like, okay, we're sending emails is one thing, but that's not sustainable.
Right.
But you have to understand that our managers just don't manage, right? Our managers are actually working, so.
But remember, as an action in a strat plan, I'm just kind of using this as an example. You
Mhm.
got to have things that are achievable and repeatable. It's not, not just to check a box and you say you did it, right? It's something
Right.
that it keeps, it's embedded within the culture. So.
Mhm. And, and the thing is, as we see, as I keep calling it the silver tsunami at town hall, but as we have younger people coming in, they're always looking at, hey, we have this training coming up, or hey, let's utilize this, or they're always helping us with different ways of viewing things. So how are we going, how you're looking at, how do we make sure everybody is getting the training that they need, or how are we sustaining it?
Okay. Well, we'll just continue to revisit that, and we will want to make sure that we're noting when folks are attending training and
You wanna-
taking advantage of it.
You wanna
I
see
believe that they are. HR keeps a record of when people are going to training, especially if they're CEUs. It's going in their
Okay.
personnel files.
That's a great point. So then in that comments field, then the data of this year,
Mhm.
10 employees took training. You could be generalized. You can say just took training. So you show the progress against the action.
All right.
Those are things that you got to kind of think through as you have these actions. And if you can prove that you did it, great. That's what you'd want to put there.
And that's a good point. If you want to look at that towards, OSHA training as well.
Mhm.
Maybe
Correct.
putting a training matrix together. Public Works, we had that employee have that heart attack. So Public Works, you're having CPR, first aid, and AED training. And we put that, hey, because of this was a learning experience. Now,
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Yep.
And at the
Okay.
end of the year, you can go back and you're going to hear us say this a lot. You can go back and say, look at this thing I did. I did this. This
You
is
can
done.
look back at the report and say, look at all the things we got done from the action plan, from the strat plan of this year.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And here's the metrics, and here's why, this is what we did better. So.
mhm.
It's not about what you didn't do as much as it is about what you did do.
Okay.
I mean, you don't want to just ignore stuff that you're not able to get done, and but then you kind of look at that pile and say, okay, well,
Well, the game might have changed. Something might have
Yeah.
shifted. And I say, I'm not going to do that this year because it doesn't make sense. And you can make that decision, put a new date on it, and move forward.
yep. Okay, keep going.
Okay. So where do we leave off?
Emails.
Well, she's on the overhaul format of quarterly reports.
Yep. Yep,
Uh-oh.
that's for you. I point, but you can't see it.
Okay. Overall formats of quarterly reports. We'll. So you're trying to see the trackable data. I think if we do that compliance with the training, and here we are where we didn't have our data, but now we have the data for your spreadsheet, the heavy duty equipment. We'll look at the overall format of the quarterly reports.
I think what we're looking for in this is consistency as much as possible, so that you can go through the information in the reports more efficiently and effectively.
Right. In this one, okay, it's not done right now, but you might say, I'm going to do that in the next 3 months, or I'm going to do that, and you just put a date on it. That's all.
I would push that off to the last quarter of or the second quarter of the 2022.
22.
Okay, then put that date there.
Yep.
As an aside, this sort of brings up something that maybe we should think about. Maybe we should think about putting our yearly schedule in line with the budget,
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
fiscal year.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's the right. Yeah, you're spot on that, Stefan. Because then it ties together.
Yeah. So instead of, having the first select person come in May and December, you had the first selectman come in July, the beginning of the fiscal year, and then, of 2021, and then of June of 2022, so they can say, this is what we started with and here we are. So now July of 2022, we're starting here. So June of 2023, we've accomplished that.
And it correlates to the budget.
Yes.
Okay, we can talk about that outside this topic. So cool. Yeah, I like that. Okay.
So create and post annual breakdown of total employee compensation. CBA posted on the town website to promote the transparency for the total cost of employees. In conjunction with department heads, develop and memorialize performance measures for all municipal positions. I have that.
I
blank
think
that
you're
I
working
have.
on that, right? That's definitely being.
Mm-hmm.
Rory, you want to jump in on that one? No?
The SOP one?
Yes.
Sure. So I checked in with Chris Pelosi when we were preparing for this. You know, what we had already done, several of the departments in town hall, because we had the floater position. One of the previous floaters had assembled manuals for those departments to assist with, you know, bringing, you know, new staff on board, basically. And then he's been working with Public Works to do similarly. You know, not every task is conducive to creating an SOP. So Chris is trying to work with them, but honestly, it's been relatively low on his priority list. Some of the other items in the plan have taken up most of his time, especially now the school business manager is gone. So he's taken over a lot of the HR for the Board of Ed.
Thanks, Rory.
Okay. Well, we'll just note it and then adjust dates as we need to and keep on keeping on.
I mean, what are the, I mean, again, when we come to these, Rory, I think the way we want to think about them is like, okay, what's the date that you're planning on getting that or achieving that? That would be like, if you're going to miss, that's fine, or whatever, because there's really no dates here to begin with. So, you know, what if we're going to miss or we're not going to get it done this year, when are we going to get it done? That would be probably what you'd want to bring to this meeting.
So I would think that those dates would all be different. I mean, we like for HR, right? We just have our garbage bid going out. And I'm gonna use this as an example. We have our garbage bid going out, and it wasn't on. We didn't put it on the DAS system, which is the Connecticut State Bid List, because we didn't. No one knew how. You know, I had D go out in the middle of April because, you know, we had her father-in-law pass away and then her husband passed away and she's been out. So D would always put the bids on the state bid list. And we found out, Rory and I both found out, that D's the only one that knows how to do this. So this was a great learning experience for the both of us, because now when D comes back, we're going to write down to put on a state bid list. This is the steps you need to take. And we're going to put that in a book and have it as an SOP and have it in the office. So the next person who comes in, or if we have to have a temp come in, then we have that listed. So if
Right.
that's what we're looking to do. You know,
So-
how do we write a bid? How do we write a contract? What do we have to do an RFP? All those things we're starting to get and to collect and to put into place. To say we're going to have a date on that, I don't think that's possible, because you may not think of something and then say, oh yeah, we got to do that.
Wait. So remember, this is a strat plan. So the overall, okay, that's fine. So you found one and you said it's the garbage one, and you're going to create.
DAS, yeah.
Okay, let's say it's that one. Now that you've identified that should be a subtask to that particular primary task. And you should put a date on it saying, I'm going to get this done in 6 months. Or again, I'm just throwing numbers out there. I don't
Right.
care if you say 3 years, but it should be on there as the action. so that you have you've identified it, because you can add to a strat plan. It's not like you can't. So, and what that does for you is it identifies that particular action has specific things that you've already, you're showing that can get done against that action to show progress. So if you've identified them, they should be here on the strat plan. I think that would be my recommendation.
The strat plan would be very, very long if we found every procedure that we did not
It
know.
would be
was there.
absolutely manageable. And I can show you the way we do
No,
it.
I understand, Bob, I understand. I get it. I understand. I would have to say that if you want to do that, I would have to say we need to have our whole staff put back into place. And once COVID is done, you have to understand that office was shut down for almost 14 months because of COVID. The only person going into the first selectman's office every now and then when we didn't have to send people home, we had one person for one office for the past 14 months in that town hall.
So I think you're missing where where I'm going with this. If it's not important to do enough to do this year, because this is the 1 year strat plan, and if it had to fall off, then you take it off, right? But it's either you're in or you're out. To me, once you've said, I'm going to try to achieve some of this stuff, things are going to change around you. Things are going to change. People are going to, employers are going to change. All that stuff's going to happen. But the strat plan is a strat plan. So when you start saying, okay, you could tell me in this meeting, go, listen, that's not important to us right now. We're not doing it in this year. Take it off. And that's okay. That's a viable response.
Mhm.
And you don't have to tell me why. You don't have to tell me because your head count changed. You don't have to tell me anything. You could just say that's not important to this year's strat plan. And we're going to put it off to another year.
Oh, okay.
You see what I'm getting at?
Now I get what you're getting at. I thought all these deliverables had to be done this year, and that's the way it was going.
Well, it was in the beginning of the year. It was put together as a 1 year strat plan. Things can fall out, right? So, and the year is going to tell you what stays in and what falls out.
Got it.
You as the manager of the entire strat plan can say, I'm looking at that one, not that important. We're going to get at it, but it ain't going to be this year, period. We knock it out. We put it into the next year. You don't even have to communicate on it anymore.
And Marie,
Okay.
we're not here to like micromanage you and make sure that you check off all of these boxes. We just want to help you achieve the goals that are best for the town, and not just you, all the managers and all the departments.
Right.
No, and
And ultimately, these goals, and in most organizations, I mean, we're kind of coming at it backwards, but in most organizations, these goals will be coming from you
Right.
and sifting down. We're kind of, because we're doing it sort of backwards, we're coming up from the bottom and guessing what they are.
Kickstart it. Yeah.
got it. Okay. That makes total
Yeah,
total
we
sense.
probably
Yeah,
should
okay.
I should have explained that to you because I was saying it wrong. I see where you went and I went, no, that's not what I'm trying to get at. And we're not trying to even knock the actions here. The actions are the actions. They were already written. Everybody agreed upon them in the beginning of the year.
Got it.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we have no like personal stake in these actions. These
Nope.
actions are here because people identified these as the most important things at one time, and then they identified them as even more important enough to get into this year's plan. And we're just here to help make sure that you and everybody else in the town has what they need to get this done, and they know how to manage like these tasks.
Well, okay.
Yeah,
Thank you guys for explaining that.
Yeah, our ultimate goal is to teach you guys how to do this and then peace out.
Peace out, Paco.
Mhm.
And help facilitate it if you need help, and be there if you want to talk through something, and all those other things that can, where we can give you direction.
Right. But certainly not to, again, if whoever the next first select person is, the goal would be to sit there and start at the top for next year and go, okay, now here's your world. How are we going to organize it?
Okay.
And this way you can tie it to the budget. You can tie it to, what you need to get done. Because that's the other thing we never did. We didn't tie it to any budget. We just said, this was the items that came out of what's going to be done this year. Not really tied to the budget.
And these are also based on priorities, that under a different helm.
Correct.
Your priorities may be completely different.
And right now that you're absolutely right. They are, my priorities right now is making sure that the town is up and running and, and
Mhm.
we stay within our budget and there is no issues. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Getting
I mean,
everybody up and running,
But your
making sure,
day is always going to be that, Anne Marie. This strat plan is that thing that those extra items that are going to go on in the background that still need to, that are going to give you strategy longer term, because your day to day is your tactical, right? Your tactical is not really the component of this document. Your strategy is, how am I going to exist over the year, 2 years, 3 years from now? And so I have a good, when I roll into the next year, I have momentum. It's not just that I did all my tactical actions. I have a strategy, an overall strategy, arching strategy that's going to drive me as well at the same time. So.
yeah, and it's a plan. So it helps you as you identify needs that maybe are going to become big issues in a couple of years. Now you can get them on the plan, and they've bubbled up. They're visual. They're there, and now you can start working it to accomplish them, knowing they're in the future.
Off little pieces at a time, so that when you're done over the course of that time period, you could have the whole thing done, and you knocked off the little pieces.
It's kind of like I use this stupid, analogy all the time. It's like baking a cake. You don't sit there and go, okay, I want a chocolate cake. You don't. The first thing you do isn't go to the oven and open up the oven and pull out a fully frosted cake, right? The first thing you do is you got to go to the store. You got to get all the crap to make it. Then you got to put it all together. So what you do is the cake is your action that's 3 years out, for example. Going to the store and buying flour and eggs and chocolate, that's the first thing you're doing to get to that cake in the future. So that's kind of what we're trying to do here is help you identify the cake and then figure out the steps you actually need to do to make it.
Well, that's why when I picked out this one, the SOP, if you said to me, well, I want the action to be, we're going to write the AP or the garbage, SOP, and we want to do that this year as a first one, that would be your action. You'd take that whole thing out and you'd say, that's not my action anymore. My action is I'm going to get that one done. You can make that decision,
Yep. And if you want to be sassy and say, okay, we want to write one for, a stretch goal, or, I feel like we can do garbage and we can do, I don't know, something else, solar, I don't know. Then you throw that in there.
And then miss it. Don't miss the date and say, I'm going to kick it out to next year. It's okay.
Yep. We're going to go, okay, no worries. And just change the date.
But it's visible. It's something you want to achieve. It's something that's going to be in the back burner of everybody's mind. That's the drive here, right?
Okay. All right. I got it now.
Got it.
Thank you. Because I thought I had to read it in every single one of these. I'm like, please don't let me read every single one of these.
No, you can fly through and kind of chunk them. We want to make sure that we address everything, but
which is good. So on the information technology, as you show, it's in progress, creating a database for the software for municipal departments and deliver reports along the same way. But our IT has been doing a lot. We are in our land office, we have digitized the field cards. They're available online. Our biggest issue right now is going to be in the inlands wetlands, because it's financially not feasible at this point in time, because it's going to cost a lot of money to digitize those records.
Now, is that something that, now just to parse that out, is the inland wetlands, is that something you're like, yeah, it's really important. So, I want to see in 3 years time, I want to see that done. So now we put it on there and go, okay, well, we know we've got to do these things before we can get there, even if it's just build it into the budget or whatever those things are.
To me, it's not, at this point in time, it's not that important. I would say 3 years out.
Okay.
Possibly. I would wait because the state has an awesome website, but I want to see if that's something that the municipality can bank into with the state, and maybe just go to the click on a link and go to the state website where they can show you the course of the inland and wetlands. But right now, I
Cool.
would say it's not a priority for me right now. But what we did do in the IT is we're able to get free Wi-Fi outside the library and outside the community center. It's only the size of a football field, but it's still free Wi-Fi. We couldn't put it at the schools like we originally wanted to do because we didn't want to take the chance of somebody being able to get into the school systems that way. So we put it on the community center and the library. So if they're in the parking lot or at the community center watching their kids at the skate park, they could sit in their car and parents can work while their kids are playing. You know, that came out during the COVID-19 as well. As far as the information technology operation, we are going to use the school dude, like the school uses, to institute work orders for operation system for everybody. We have IT quoting us an asset tagging system. I'm hoping to have that into place. That is a priority to me. It is important to know what we have. So I would like to say that that should be towards the end of our 2021, 2022 budget. So I would say in the end of our budget year, so Q4 for 2022.
Okay.
As far as the evaluate the practicality of additional deployment, COVID has forced our town employees to work from home. So we have the capabilities of giving employees computers to work at home with if they had to. So I would say that that is done. We had to do it. We know we can do it. We have the technology to do it. We have the laptops to do it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. The work order thing that the next line item down, that's the school dude thing, which I'm not
Yeah.
familiar with. Okay, so I don't know, Rory, if you want to capture that.
On the information technology for the first selectman, you know, we had the municipal website transition to a new platform. We are still working on that website and changing it. You know, we noticed when we transferred, we didn't have the old minutes there. So we're slowly getting all that back up and running. So I would like to say by the third quarter of this year, of the budget year, that should be in place. I think that's an achievable. The thing is to set the dates. I want them to make sure that they're an achievable date and not just a date thrown out there. So if I
Well,
say,
yeah, so when you think
third
about that, you
quarter,
make your best, yeah, you make your best guess and understand that you can adjust it if you need to.
right, and if I can complete it beforehand, that's what I want to be able to do.
But that particular action, you know, to develop and deliver a plan to upgrade municipal website, including vendor scope, cost, and timeline. Theoretically, it wasn't it's to deliver the plan to upgrade. So you
Right.
already did that. You're
Okay.
actually in the next step of executing that plan. So
on the operations end, we joined the CR COG, and we're working with the senior staff to educate about the available opportunities. Police service. I'm gonna push this out. As you know, we are getting Paul Stokowski is retiring at the end of this year. So he has like 7 months left. So where he's trying to get that done while in the meantime having his office still run, while in the meantime dealing with some personnel issues that we have going on there. I would like to push this out until the third quarter again of 2022. This way it gives the new chief that comes in, when the new chief comes in and we have a new deputy chief coming in, they could work together on this.
when's the new chief coming in?
Paul's contract ends December 31st. As he stated, as far as I know, the police commissioners have not started the process yet of getting a new chief in. The interviewing yet, but
And would the chief really be, I mean, so it's the same action as we have for the fire service. It should be in the same thing, create a equipment inventory for everything.
Yeah.
And
to
then
me, the police, the
plan.
fire, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it should be the same way as we have the police.
Yeah. I would even say public works the same way, but I know Tony already gave his inventory, correct, Rory?
I wouldn't wait on that one, Anne Marie. I mean, this is something they should be doing. I don't know. In my job, I couldn't get away with not knowing what my inventory is.
I understand, Bob. I understand, but I have a chief and I have a deputy chief. That's all I have, running a department. That's all I have.
But they wouldn't be they'd probably have people that do that.
And who would they have do that? I'm not making excuses for them. Our managers don't just sit behind a desk and manage. You know what I mean? The chief is out actually doing work. And remember, he had 2 deputy chiefs. He's down to 1 deputy chief. So they're so backlogged on even pistol permits that they're looking at giving them to the detectives to do because they're so backlogged. So maybe I just tell the chief, hey, you know what? Have one of your detectives write, but then the detective's not working on a case.
Who's administrative there?
There is no one. I have an administrative assistant out on medical leave. I have Caroline who does all the reports, but she's picking up the other person that's out on medical leave.
So
I wouldn't put it out to Q3 22. New guy comes in, you put him on the task to get it done. That's all.
Okay, so put it on the Q2.
I mean,
It's so much for being mine. Q2, go ahead. Rory, change it from Q3 to Q2.
so
No, 2021, 2022. So it'd be done in this year's budget. I say 22 because that's when that Q3 is.
You want it for next year's budget. I think that's where my
Yeah.
head.
So there, an inventory doesn't exist of this stuff anywhere now. This is just me being kind of like, so we have no idea how many police cars we have.
Oh, no, the police you know what? Maybe the police, I'm sure the police officers, the police chief knows how many cars he has because they're replacing cars.
Sure.
Our
So
police
I think that's kind of the thing that's vexing me a little bit. It's like, are we overcomplicating the
You
act?
have heavy equipment inventory and you have light equipment. So here's what I do with the police service. You want the cars and you want their guns. How many guns do they have? Because the guns are part of the police. Those are their service revolvers. So do you want that information? Handcuffs, Narcan,
I mean,
everything?
I guess I'm just confused that it doesn't, and again, maybe it's just ignorance on my part that it doesn't already exist somewhere.
We buy equipment, it has assets. The town has equipment under assets.
So maybe this should all go to Doug Thomas, who's our finance director, or to the operations manager, Tony Caserta. So he should have all that.
It could, yeah, and that's why when we're asking, it maybe not be the police chief, it could be someone who understands what assets exist at those places.
Okay.
And again, we don't need to see that list and we don't care how it gets done.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, like, even if it already exists, then sweet, you're done.
To answer your guys' question, like, it's not like there's nothing right now, right? We're not flying completely in the dark, right? These vehicles are insured, right? So
Right.
all the information from
Yeah.
the insurance company that we can pull. What we do not have is comprehensive inventories of assets for budget planning purposes that are centrally located, which is what I think the strategic plan was trying to get to.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair. That's a good way to say it, or, but
But
the way
that's
I
not what
look
you
at
guys
it.
are saying here,
What's that?
but that's not what it's stated here.
Well, what's not stated here? It's just create, it's back down to, we're back down to what we said on the fire one. Create an equipment inventory and then develop and deliver equipment replacement plan as a second action. Same thing. We want the action, I think, and maybe somebody said it before, it could be a finance, it could be a finance action. It's just for the police services. When we purchase something that goes to the police department, it's asset driven. It better be. I'd be surprised if it wasn't.
So we have that then, because as Rory said, we have our insurance policies.
So then it would be easy for a chief to get the inventory, or I shouldn't say easy. There's a method that they can get the inventory that's not.
I'll get the inventory. Please put that down to, we'll have it for, I'll do it. Sometimes it's just easier for me to do it than have a
Yeah,
man.
you know, it's funny, and Stefan made a comment before. It's not for us to say what the actions are. If you don't think that's important, then we can take it off. But if it's
No.
on here, right?
It is important. It is important to have, but to have an inventory, to say to create a 10-year heavy equipment inventory, 25,000, develop and deliver equipment replacement plan. We have that already in our budget. We have a 5-year plan in our budget to replace police cars every 2 years. That's already in the budget. To replace public works trucks every 5 years. That's already in the budget. The only thing that's not in the budget, which Kurt and everybody was working on, was replacing the fire trucks, our fire apparatus, because there's so much money. And when we buy them, we normally pay cash for them. But our police cars, that's already in our budget. We replace a police car 2 to 3 years. Every 2 to 3 years, we replace a police car. So that's already put in for our budget system. So if this was made for our budget system.
Yeah, so from a strategic plan perspective, let's fall back. Then are there anything that we need to do from an inventory perspective at the police services level that need to be planned and have a replacement plan for?
So with this, I would sit there and say, if forget the cars for this point in time, because that's what I'm focusing as on the cars. We have that new unfunded accountability bill coming in for the police, right? For the dash cams, for the body cams. Those are going to have to be replaced every 5 years, or however the equipment is updated on that. So that should be on the list. We should include that.
Be to create a process to make sure that we have that covered. However you want to word it, however you want it, and then we can take those off, and those don't exist, and it's just specifically that action.
Okay.
Rob Dyer just sent us basically what we're looking for with the like the computers for everybody in town. If you guys looked at that thing that Rory had sent out a couple days ago,
It's that, and I didn't read everything.
all it is it's a spreadsheet, and it lists every town computer owned by the town, who has it, and when it's scheduled to be replaced.
I saw it, right? I saw that sheet.
I think that's the spirit of what we're looking for. And Emery, we went through this a couple of years ago, right, with all of the communications equipment.
Yes.
All of a sudden, we had to replace, tens of thousands of dollars worth of communications equipment,
With the fire
and that
department.
kind of came out of nowhere. If we had an inventory that was available during the budgeting process, we could have avoided that. I think that is the genesis of this whole item, and I think that we wrote it poorly by saying that it's a 10-year plan, and I think you could argue that it's confusing verbiage to say heavy versus light and not get any more specific. But at the end of the day, we're just looking for something that makes it easy to budget things, so we're not getting surprised with giant bills.
Right.
Yep.
It's not we, it's you, Anne Marie.
I say we as the town. I say
No,
we
yeah,
as
right.
I'm speaking on behalf of the town.
I understood what you meant, Stefan. Okay. So Rory, just leave. I think that should be easy to get. So what's this? June?
It's just a matter of there's always projects like this in any office or any company
Yeah.
where it's, you know, I don't have a word that I should be able to say during a public town meeting, but it's busy work for somebody who probably doesn't want to do it, but the information is available. It's just a matter of doing it.
All right. On the public works,
Same thing.
same thing. We have the draft of equipment inventories, okay? Develop and deliver a comprehensive sidewalk plan, town engineer, you know, he goes through his road plan every year. The only thing that is different, we're adding sidewalks as we're looking at roads. As we're doing the road, we're looking at the sidewalk. If the sidewalk has to be redone because it's not safe, we're gonna do it.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're seeing that in his report. So at the end of the
We are.
day, that could be a completed action.
And that's it for the 1 year plan.
Okay. So now do you feel like you understand sort of what we're driving at, and when we're asking for, you know, what we're talking about? You
I
know,
understand what you're talking about, because what is written is not, the 10-year thing is throwing me off. I mean, we have everything budgeted in the budget. We know that 5 years we do this, we know 3 years we're looking for this. It's
because we
how
work
worded.
in a 10-year cycle, so it's
Yep.
a 10-year strategic plan.
and I get it. And I understand how you guys know it's but backwards from the way
Right.
we're doing.
Because we've had to build up, you know, where you're working from, you know, top down, we're working from bottom up. Eventually we're going to pass, we're going to fall by the wayside. This is all going to come down from whoever's sitting up there.
Right. And what I'm trying to do is put in not the SOPs, is putting in the SOPs that you guys are looking for, making sure that each department has somebody that is cross-trained to do a job. So if somebody's out, we're not going through what we're going through, and putting in the SOPs. That's what I'm used to doing.
But also next year, you build the strat plan. We can support you, but that strat plan comes from you and your team versus, you know, us. Really, that strat plan should be you and your department heads saying, these are the 5, and each one of the departments, these are the 5 things, tend to pick your number of what we plan to achieve over the course of the year.
Mhm.
And then you hold them true to it. And then this way you could use that document just like we're using with you, and say, well, you said you were going to do this at the beginning of the year. And they say, well, this, and this happened, or I achieved this. And then you get at least a way you can manage them more effectively across the whole year. They can put stuff out to do it in Q3. They can do it in Q1. It's really up to them to decide when they're going to get the task done. And then they just report to you on what's done, what's not. In fact, if they have it done, they don't even have to tell you. They just say the market office said that one's done. I'm going to miss this one because of these reasons. I mean, that's how you want it. It's going to be so much easier for to manage all these different things going on all at once. You know?
And you know, we have started with the monthly staff, monthly staff meetings, where each department is coming and telling us what they're doing, where they are. One of the main things last year, one of our goals was to put in another building at the Public Works Department. So we're able to get a grant. The grant was issued to us. Now we have 2 years to get that built, because once you get the money, the clock starts ticking. So now we're working with the engineers to get that building built so that we can store our equipment, so that the money we've invested into this equipment, they're not sitting out in the elements and rusting. It's sort of an investment to us.
But that should be in your strat plan, that you're building a building and there's actions that are associated to that they should take credit for because they're doing it.
Right. And you're not building the building, Emery, right? So you're not swinging the hammer. There's people underneath you who are doing all the little steps to make sure the building gets built. And what this does is it captures all those little things. So because to keep track of what everybody else is doing, who's getting the plumber, I don't know, but
Right.
You know what I mean? That's what this is, a tool. We're just trying to build a tool, teach you how to use the tool, and then be there when the glitches and help you get back on track. And then we kind of step back and go, okay, keep going.
No, I agree. I
And the
agree with
that
this.
are doing the work get the credit for what they've done, so it's visible. I did all these
Mhm.
things this year, you know?
All right, are we going on to the 10-year plan now, or are we done with the 1 year?
I feel like we might, unless you have something highlights you want to point out to us, it might be sensible to just focus on the 1 year right now.
Okay.
If there's something in particular you want to call out to change, you're like, you know what, it's not even remotely close, or maybe go back and relook at it with the new sort of lens of having more clarity on what our intentions are.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I really have to say is, like I said before, as a senior staff, we're talking over the plan, we're meeting monthly so that I could ask them where they are with things. So I think that is with the 1 year plan. Now I have it where I know exactly what we're looking for, what our goals are, so we can get that done.
So how
don't
long do
think
your senior staff meetings take now?
How long do they take? They're getting, well, when we're meeting via Zoom, about half hour, 45 minutes, sometimes an hour.
If you set this up right, Anne Marie, you can get those meetings done in 10 minutes.
Oh yeah. After a half hour, you lose people.
We do them every day and they're literally 10 minutes. And we're like, all right, go back to work.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I think that it's not too soon to start considering what items that are already in the 10-year plan we might want to start pulling into next year's or the next version of the 1 year plan. And then also, Emery, I'm sure as you get your feet more wet in the job, you're going to want to start thinking about adding things to the strategic plan. So we should probably have those conversations
Yes.
soon.
mhm.
One of my biggest thing I want to add, as you guys know, environmental and safety is my background, right? I want to start looking at, I'm afraid to say greener options, because when you say greener options, they always come at a cost. But there's ways for us to do things so that they're not going to cost the town so much money and we have a bigger payback than waiting 10, 15 years to get a payback on something.
Okay, so this is an awesome example. This is a truly awesome example to jump in right now. So the way this would work is you write down and capture what it is you want to achieve and the steps you think we need to do to get there. And then you can sit down with us and we can help you craft that into an actionable plan that you can turn around and give to whoever needs to get it to make that happen. That's how this committee works.
So I have a question.
You know what I'm saying? You have the vision. Yeah.
I have a
Go ahead.
question for this committee. We get a lot of calls at town hall for, can I bring my grass clippings? Can I bring my tree debris? Can I bring, mostly the grass clippings to town hall? And, we have Steven now, and I'm yelling from my office, nope, they have to leave the grass clippings in the ground. And he's like, what are you talking about? So I go in because DEP says you leave your grass clippings in the ground. They're recyclables. You don't bring them to the municipal. You keep the grass out of the municipal waste. So is that something you think I can make it one of my plans to promote more environmental friendlies to our residents as well? Hey, your grass clippings, you may not like the clumping when it rains, I get it, but you leave them into the ground, and the ground, it actually decomposes into your ground and it nourishes your ground.
Right. So in that case, it's going to be, you're going to need to think about what is the measurable thing that you want to happen. And it's not like, it's not intangible, like just saying to people, hey, leave your clippings where they are. It's developing a home owner's guide or to sustainable yard care. I don't know.
Well, I say it because,
Messaging to residents or something, yeah.
right, well, the town of Seymour, our trash costs we went over budget this year.
Mhm.
Because people were home more,
Yep.
cooking, and they made more trash. Our commercial trash went down. So I look at it as, well, our recyclings didn't go up, and you would think if our trash went up, our recycling would go up as well.
Is that all done by weight, Anne Marie?
Yeah,
Is
it's
that-
all done by weight. So maybe just more literature on recycling and stuff like that.
So then again, now you're thinking about it strategically, the goal is to improve, our recyclables to trash. I don't know, there's probably a more eloquent word for that.
Well, reducing the carbon
Ratios.
footprint is what you're doing.
I'm sorry?
You're reducing the carbon footprint.
Right.
But you have to show that in a presentation. Maybe it's developing town-based presentations that can, because they have to be repeatable. Because
Mhm.
they have to be something that somebody can pull down and research and review and everything else. So maybe it's, maybe the action, and again, I don't know, it's developing repeatable documents that can be used to inform town of, and pick your message.
Make a brochure. It could be as simple as making a brochure. Here's a brochure that's what you recycle and what you throw out.
I think people respond. I mean, again, if you were to ask me, I think brochures are okay, but I think people are more visual these days.
A video.
Yeah, video or something. Yep.
I was just throwing that out there, thinking about it.
But again, it's now you think about sort of how you think about it. And the way you think about it is, okay, I want to produce this educational piece, whether it's a video or an interpretive dance or whatever it is you're going to do.
It wouldn't be not interpretive. Dan.
Now you say, okay, well, how do I get there? What are the steps I need to make to get there?
And can you show it can you show it how it improves the town budget? Can you show how if we do this right as a town, we're going to be able to reduce, again, those are the things that would make people interested if it impacted them in their pocketbook. So.
Okay.
And I'll tell you just sort of personally, Emery, if you figure out how you want to do it, you put it into a PowerPoint. If you need help, I can help you turn that into a video.
But let's get back to the strat plan. The strat plan action is to develop messaging for the town, whatever it's going to be by this date, and then use the resources that you have, Anne Marie, to help you get there.
Yep.
Okay. Great.
But our goal as a committee is to help you to change the way you think about getting stuff done.
Should we set up a time where Emery could come with a bunch of ideas that she likes and would like to get added, and then we could help her craft them and add them to the plan?
You can come to any of our meetings when she gets them, right?
Mhm. Yep.
I like coming to your meetings.
It's because we're cool. We got headsets and everything.
I don't.
No, absolutely. And that's our role. That's our function. Everybody here is passionate about it, even Don.
And
So
Anne
yeah.
Marie, on your time, Anne Marie, if you ever want, I can take you through the one I do for my work and show you how that works.
Mhm.
To see, and it'll make sense once you see it.
Okay. All right, guys.
Okay, so I think you're sort of, hopefully you have a better kind of a grasp on what we're looking for, and it made some sense. And then that we're here to support you building those goals and the tasks that are underneath them and helping you get there,
Yep.
helping you getting them done. So
All right, you guys gotta get to your meeting because Rory's computer's gonna die.
that's it. All right.
All right.
Thank you, madam.
All right.
Bye.
Hey,
Bye. What?
oh, thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye. All right, so the next item on our agenda is an update from Town Hall. Rory, how are we doing with our folks in downtown?
Well, we're surviving. Um,
Okay.
so in terms of basically the most recent senior staff meeting. Yeah, so I spoke to Bob last night. We had a meeting. As Anne Marie mentioned, Malia left February. Dee's husband unfortunately passed away in late April. And so we got Stephen, who replaced Malia, who is excellent. And he's already made some great contributions. Literally 2 days after Dee's husband passed away. The Matthews grants were due May 1st, and Dee usually does those. And then, just getting covering public works, which Dee usually covers, has unfortunately taken up most of my time. So there's a lot of discussion tonight about the inventories. I put together a template, which was based on Rob Dyer's template, but include a little bit more information to make it a little more broadly applicable to the departments that were assigned that task. And I sent it out the day before the senior staff meeting, because that's when I got to it. And I also a copy of Bob's template. And so I sent it out to them and I said, we'll talk about this tomorrow. And, I think some people panicked and put it together overnight, because I got about 3 templates in the morning and a couple of strategic plans as well. And I have not even had the opportunity to go through them. But I'm hoping that when we return to full strength, which is soon, that I can dedicate a little more time. Unfortunately, if the senior staff meeting is the check-in, I need to be communicating with people along the way and preparing in advance, and I just have not had the opportunity to do so. So there was not a lot in the way of updates at the most recent senior staff meeting, but I did get some documents because what I have envisioned is Rob Dyer will create a shared network drive that every one of the senior staff has access to. They'll all have a folder in it. If they have an inventory assigned to it, that's where it goes. That way it's readily accessible for all, which I think is the goal, right? Because the information, as you said, exists, but if it's not accessible, it's useless. So that's what we're aiming for.
Okay. That's cool. We'll just make sure that we talk about this next month and keep on keeping on. Did we get a response from the EDC on the revisions to the plan? I have a note. I have that on the
I was
carryover item.
their last meeting. If I recall correctly, they recently got 2 new members and one of the existing members was not present. So there were essentially there was a quorum. There were 3 members and one of them was new. And so they tabled it. They didn't really talk about it.
That's okay. We'll revisit it next month.
That one member was my fault, Rory. It was Cinco de Mayo.
Well, I wasn't going to call you out, Bob.
It's my fault.
Hey, I think that's legitimate. That's legit.
Hey,
Cinco de Mayo is important.
if it was St. Patty's Day, I'd be calling out. So,
Well, that day too for me. So I.
All right. How about Tim Connors and his facilities plan?
So give me one moment and I will bring it up. He sent it to me Monday morning and I did not even have an opportunity to look at it yet, but we can look at it together and take a look.
Okay.
There we go. So it looks to be broken up by facility.
Yeah, so he did talk to me about this, and basically I kind of gave him the item, sub-item approach and color code and stuff, so he can communicate. Now, I know he still has to fill out the dates. I knew that he didn't have all the dates that he was trying to achieve, but it was more action owners, if there was any dependencies on that. Because like some of his actions, if you go scroll to the top, some of his actions, they have dependencies of whether, there's outside funding for it or not. So he can put it down as if it came in, he would try to achieve it. But if there was outside funding and they didn't, and they don't get it, then he can't achieve that goal. So I made sure he identified that. I mean, he's the owner, but if there's a dependency like outside funding, told him he wants to reference that in the document.
Okay.
Yeah, and what I like is that it is current, he's added in, this looks up to date based on what I know.
Has Anne Marie seen this?
No,
Okay.
I haven't seen this, and it was sent to me, so.
This might be a good sort of illustrative example to show her, and kind of how this approach, how he did it. It might be useful to have sort of a visual reference.
And I told him really once he wants to drive too is where he has the question marks is he's got to put some dates where, and even if they're misses, he should put them in there.
Mhm.